We're going to be talking El Salvadorian prison. This whole thing with this guy, I'm sorry, I should have known his name, but I forgot it. The one that they just deported back to El Salvador, that the Democrats are up in arms because he's a Maryland father. Well, you know what? Yeah, he might have been a Maryland father, but he is an El Salvadorian citizen. He is not a United States citizen. He also has connections with MS-13, and he also has a criminal record for domestic violence in the United States. Now, by law, several things are wrong with this guy. Okay, one, he's illegal here. He does not have a current passport. He is not a U.S. citizen. He never applied for citizenship. So that's number one. He's illegal. He's an illegal alien. Number two, he is now considered a terrorist because of his connections with MS-13. Because they were earmarked as terrorists. That's two. Third, he is locally a felon on domestic battery on his wife. So, bad enough that he's a three-striker, the Democrats are going ballistic over the fact that he got deported and they think he needs to come back and blah, 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 blah. So, I think they really need to be enlightened on the law because these people don't know what the hell they're talking about. So there is actually a law in the United States that says if you fall into those categories and you are a non-U.S. citizen, you will be deported. Period. End of story. So what do the Democrats do? They crank you up with all this bull in your MSNBC and your CNN and your, all these little news briefs. And then that dumbass flies on our dime to El Salvador to tell the El Salvadorian government that they will release him and send him back. Well, here's two things wrong with that. Number one, it's called the Logan Act. Come on. It's called the Logan Act. Okay? He has no right to go to a foreign country and use his position to make this happen. He can't speak for the people. He can't speak for the president. It's not his position. He was not put in that position. It's illegal. So he broke a law doing it. And then he gets on, and this is even better. You have to pre-request visitation over there. It's not like United States where it's like, okay, Tuesdays and Thursdays between 1 and 5 you have visitation. He failed. So he thought because he was a senator from the United States that he's just going to go over there and you're going to let me in and see this guy. Well, it backfired, and now he's all pissed off. They need to mind their business. He's there. That's his home. I'm sure his wife is a lot happier without him being beat up so many times by him. She don't need him back. This is a good thing for her and those kids. All right, so I'm going to pop up some stuff online. You tell me what you think. I really would like to know, what you guys think about this. So let's see something on it. So here we go. I'll catch you guys in a little bit.
It's just in. CNN was just roasted in the Oval Office, and it's going viral.
Let's hear the question from this very low-rated anchor at CB.
Thank you, President. Do you plan to ask President Bukele to help return the man who your administration says was mistakenly deported? The man who was mistakenly deported to El Salvador?
As you know, it's asked by CNN, and they always ask it with a slant because they don't know what's happening. That's why nobody's watching them. But would you answer that question also, please?
Yes, gladly. So there's an illegal alien from El Salvador. With respect to you, he's a citizen of El Salvador. So it's very arrogant even for American media to suggest that we would even tell El Salvador how to handle their own citizens as a starting point. As two immigration courts found that he was a member of MS-13. When President Trump declared MS-13 to be a foreign terrorist organization, that meant that he was no longer eligible under federal law, which I'm sure you know, you're very familiar with the INA, that he was no longer eligible for any form of immigration relief in the United States. So he had a deportation order that was valid, which meant that under our law, he's not even allowed to be present in the United States and had to be returned because of the foreign terrorist designation. This issue was then, by a district court judge, completely inverted, and a district court judge tried to tell the administration that they had to kidnap a citizen of El Salvador and fly him back here. That issue was raised to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court said the district court order was unlawful, and its main components were reversed 9-0 unanimously, stating clearly that neither Secretary of State nor the president could be compelled by anybody to forcibly retrieve a citizen of El Salvador from El Salvador, who again is a member of MS-13, which, as I'm sure you understand, rapes little girls, murders women, murders children, is engaged in the most barbaric activities in the world. And I can promise you, if he was your neighbor, you would move right away. As Pam said, the ruling solely stated that if this individual at El Salvador's sole discretion was sent back to our country, that we could deport him a second time.
Well,
No version of this legally ends up with him ever living here because he is a citizen of El Salvador. That is the president of El Salvador. Your questions about it, per the court, can only be directed to him.
Can President Bukele weigh in on this? Do you plan to return him?
How can I return him to the United States? Like I smuggle him into the United States, or what do I do? Of course, I'm not going to do it. The question is preposterous. How can I smuggle a terrorist into the United States? I don't have the power to return him to the United States.
So you can release him inside El Salvador?
Yeah, but I'm not releasing. I mean, we're not very fond of releasing terrorists into our country. We just turned the murder capital of the world into the safest country in the Western Hemisphere, and you want us to go back into the releasing criminals so we can go back to being the murder capital of the world? No, that's not going to happen.
Well, they'd love to have a criminal, released into
I mean, yeah.
They're sick. These are sick people.
And people like CNN are portraying it as a loss, as usual, because they want foreign terrorists in the country who kidnap women and children.
So, there it is. Give me a take on it. What do you think? I think the Democratic Party just lost it. They're insane. And they're just going to get worse. So, I don't know. This is crazy. We need America the way it was. We need America to come back the way it was. We need to come back stronger and better than we ever have been. God bless America. Peace out. Love you. Hit that like button. Subscribe, please.